Thanks for participating in our Passion reading and rendition and gospel today. It's very beautiful to hear. It's not every church that responds with full-throating cry, right? Sometimes you go to church and it's like, crucify him. So I'm grateful to you for the way in which you entered into the Passion drama today. Many of us know that it's March Madness, all sorts of basketball games happening across the country. And if you're like me, your bracket is already busted. So I'm particularly angry at the University of Tennessee that beat Texas, which is one of my Final Four picks. Thanks a lot. Although there is something good that's coming out of Tennessee, a lot of good things, but one of them is a story of a boy that really wanted to wear his University of Tennessee basketball shirt, or just University of Tennessee shirt, to class for a dress down day. The problem is that he didn't have one. So his mom really wanted to do what she could to be able to help her son to be able to find such a basketball shirt, but the problem is that they live in Florida. Not a lot of University of Tennessee shirts floating around at the supermarkets or at the nearby athletic stores. So a good mom, she tried, and this is a true story, to help her son to make his own design. And he wrote a really big UT and had some little scribblings and kind of shaded in the letters as much as he could, young elementary school student. And she pinned on the white decoration, the white design on his orange shirt. When he came back from school, the design was missing. And he had spent most of the day being made fun of. Spent most of the day being mocked, not just for rooting for Tennessee and Florida, but for the fact that he didn't have his own jersey or his own official t-shirt. And I just think of that boy in the midst of all the other people that have experienced sufferings like that, and far greater atrocities, far greater hurts and sufferings. 130 people in Russia that were just going to a concert. And to be able to see, in the midst of all of the sadness that happens in life, that love gets right up in its face. The evil and the atrocities that we see, love does a full court press. It's right up in the face of the opponent and doesn't let them have an inch of the parquet moving to their basket. This boy's teacher saw what happened, and instead of just being a bystander, she posted something online talking about just how heartbroken she was. And the response was tremendous. The University of Tennessee and their alumni association made sure they found out where that boy was. And I'm assuming a Florida delegate of the University of Tennessee was able to make sure that he had more t-shirts and swag than he could possibly imagine. Love gets in the face of the opponent. And not only that, but because of the outpouring of support, this young boy, who's not ready for college yet, has 4 years of tuition waiting for him, paid for. Yeah. Love gets in the face because it can no longer tolerate to see the atrocity of hate, of evil, of suffering. And that's what Jesus does this week. He is love. He always has been, he always will be. But he can no longer hold back the tremendous outpouring of love that he has for you. And so, born in obscurity, in a cave in Bethlehem, growing up in a backwater town that no one thought any good could come from in Nazareth, Jesus enters into, as we read today, his holy city, Jerusalem. For he is the holy nation. He is its king. He enters in on the foal of an ass, this common animal. And as he enters in and descends, and everyone is acknowledging him as that Messiah, because he is not afraid to get in the face of evil, he willingly submits to death on the cross. He willingly goes up against the opponent and says, enough. You will not hurt my children. You will not persecute them any longer. You will not trick them into lies or lull them into submission or think that you do you is some way that they can go forth in living. Enough. I'm tired of seeing them suffering. I'm tired of seeing them numb. Love enters right to, penetrates the very path to Calvary and doesn't stop there. As we're going to experience in these coming days, as we enter into the real sadness and sorrow of Calvary and the uncertainty of all that happens, all the calamity and doom, love doesn't stop there. Spoiler alert, a week from now, there will be a very different tenor as we celebrate at Graham. There will be very beautiful things that will happen this Saturday as the light pierces the darkness and brings new light into those who are entering into our Catholic community. And I pray that for all of us, it might be an opportunity to welcome Jesus more and more into our lives. So beautiful on Friday afternoon and evening to join with many of our students and many of our community members as we did the Stations of the Cross on campus. It was humbling to see those that already have a full schedule write up these Stations of the Cross and be able to spend draft after draft trying to figure out how best to articulate and explain what it is that we experience as followers of Jesus as we go station to station with him. What was beautiful was that the reflections weren't just something that were starchy and plain. They were written for those of us to hear so that we might be able to experience from a student's perspective what it is to follow Jesus when everything doesn't make sense, when everything isn't put together. We see throughout the narrative of the Passion and all the different renditions of it that the disciples were completely aghast. They had no idea of what was going to happen. They had no idea it would end in this. Not even Judas understood what his actions would result in doing. As station to station went down in our walk on campus, what was beautiful was the invitation for students and community members alike to pick up the cross that's situated in our common space out here and to carry it. I carried it from one station and recognized this morning as I was rubbing my shoulder, I'm like, what's that? I'm like, oh, that's from the cross. It's really not that heavy, but the fact that it had made a little imprint surprised me. And I think those of you that are carrying real crosses that are much heavier than that beam can recognize and understand how hard it is to do that alone. Love wants to journey with you in the midst of your suffering. Love wants to accompany you in the midst of the hardship. Love wants you to journey with him, the Lord Jesus, as he doesn't and is tired of you being alone. The invitation that we have in our community, which I'm really happy to experience for the first time, is during the Hosanna at Mass, as we sing the Holy, Holy, your tradition is to raise your palm branches. And as we enter into the Eucharistic prayer in just a little bit, I invite you to do that, but to consider this, that if you're going to wave your palm branches, which is a beautiful gesture of what happened long ago on this day as Jesus enters triumphantly into Jerusalem, that you might allow it to be a prayer, that as you wave these palm branches, you are giving love, the Lord Jesus himself, permission to process through the middle of your heart and to point out to you in these coming days what it is that he has come to save, where it is that he is longing to heal, what it is that he hopes to do for you, to overwhelm you like the family of that boy that were completely surprised by the outpouring of kindness in the midst of bullying. I invite you to think about that as you wave those palm branches, that the Lord, Hosanna, the Messiah, the true coming King, I long for you to be pierced willingly on the cross for my sake. And I long to let my life be united with you. Yes, to experience the sorrow of my sin on Good Friday, but also to rejoice with you next Sunday as you make it all okay, as you heal it and sanctify it and restore it to what it always has longed to be in his eyes. This is the great gift we have as a community of faith to gather together. And so I'm so great that you have the heart, like Jesus, to be able to willingly invite him in to your holy city, your soul.